Alright, so I have started the second side of my box. And I've drawn this little design on there just with a pencil. Um, it's a symbol I put on everything, including myself. But anyway, what I've done here is I've cut out this little hole. And I got these gemstones here. And I'm going to put them in the hole. Alright? And it's, oops, hold on. Anyway, and of course they're gems and they're cut and faceted like a normal gemstone, but instead of putting it face up, I'm going to put it face down. Because I kind of like the way that the fire comes off the back side of it. Now I haven't decided yet, but I might put some foil behind there. But I don't want to put too shiny a foil. So I'm going to try some duller type of foil, or maybe just not at all. Because I don't know if you can see this, but like through the gemstone, you can actually see the grain of the wood. But you see I have this clear one, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I don't know. I guess it looks all right. Anyway, I'll let you guys know about the progress. So the idea here is it's going to be earth, air, and fire and water. I got my holes drilled, and the gems all seem to fit nicely. I got to make them a little deeper because the way that I set these in here is once I start sanding, this little sand sawdust will get down into these cracks, and then when I add the adhesive, it'll set them all in there nice and good. And then I have to be super careful when I go sanding around the edges because the sandpaper will scratch these gems. But anyway, so there's the idea. Now I just got to draw the rest of the little swirlies, and we'll get started from there. It's it looks pretty dirty right now, but here, hold on. Anyway, here I'm gonna clean it all up and everything. But so far, that's how that's gonna look, and then of course the gemstones will be inside there, and then the outside I'm gonna inlay with like some. I might use azurite, or I might just go ahead and use turquoise, but then I'm going to do these little scallop kind of things in these corners, and I might put the azurite on the outside and the turquoise on the inside. That might actually look better. Anyway, but there's the progress so far. Now, I have done the swirl part, and I've added these little corner pieces here. So now I'm going to sand and sand and sand and sand. And then I can start adding the color as soon as I get this all cleaned up. Doesn't look very good now, but I mean, once I start putting the color in there, it'll look pretty cool. I have sanded this down some, so you're starting to kind of see the grain of the wood starting to show. And then, of course, this is all full of sawdust now, and this helps me, problem solve. Like right here along this edge, it seems like maybe I could round that out a little more. But that's awful close to the edge. I might just leave that. But it helps to see what the face of it will look like once you start filling this in. Because once you fill these in, if you've gotten any of this wrong, it's going to show through. So I fill it with the sawdust like this, or something like white flour or something like that. It just kind of gives me an idea of how the face of it will look, and this is looking pretty good so far. I kind of drew on some stuff up here, but I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this all yet. So anyway, back to work. So I drew this pattern on here. I think this one might be the winner. So if all goes well, this is going to be a reverse carving. So instead of being into the wood, I'm going to carve all the excess out of the wood. and then we'll see what we do from there. So, hey, I did it again. I said so. I'm quite literally carving away this by hand for two reasons. One, my little tiny Dremel bit isn't very sharp now. It works pretty good for smoothing things out and whatever, but it skips around a bunch. And I don't have any money to get a new one. And two, because this is kind of fine detail work in here, and the Dremel can skip around and then you mess it up. So I'm just kind of little by little chipping this away. And I realize there's 1,000 better ways to do this, but this is what I have right now. Alright, back to work. So I've made a little bit of progress here, but as you can see, I'm quite literally carving this with an X-Acto knife, so it is very slow going, but it's a lot easier in some ways, and really gives it that like handmade look to it, because it quite literally is handmade. Now, of course, I realize this is all handmade too, but this is just kind of, it's very meditative actually. And what I actually need is a smaller and sharper knife. But this one seems to be doing alright. I'll probably get something a little smaller for the inside. That part's going to be a little harder. Alright, I made a little progress. But all this stuff up in here is going to be really hard to do, excuse me, with this X-Acto knife. So I may have to bust out the Dremel and finish these parts. Because getting in there, you're risking, like, you know, if you accidentally chip this and it splits, then you're done. And your whole thing is wasted. So I'll probably just use that old dull bit and see if I can't do that. Alright, so I found the rest of my bits, and I have found a couple more of these little ones. I remember I had a hobo living in my house for a while, and he kept just breaking all my tools, and I remember I took all of these bits away from him and hid them so that he wouldn't break them. And then I lost them, but now I have found them, so we're going to get back to work on this. We're going to get some of this detail work done. Alright, there's kind of the idea. So I think I'm going to do red in here, and in this middle part, and then in these flames. I'm just going to leave this chain the way it is. I guess they're more just knots. But anyway, so I'm going to get that all cleaned up, and then we're going to start adding the color to this side. So I started putting the color in there. Kind of cleaned up this little bit up here, started putting the color in down here. Just kind of demonstrating how this sort of works. So you just crush it up. I have my little jeweler's anvil, and this is one of the coolest things I ever found in the trash. It's like a body hammer for like automobile, like body work or whatever. But it works so great for crushing things on the anvil and or picking at the rock. And anyway, it's a great find. Looks pretty old too, but I just found it in the trash one day. Anyway, so this is what I'm doing for now. Okay, back to work. Alright, I got the green and the blue and the red. And that's just, I don't even know what happened there. The glue did that, but when I sand it off, it'll be fine. I don't know, the color scheme kind of worked out. I'm going to put the gems in last after I sand everything down, because I don't want to have to sand too much around those. But anyway, I'll keep you updated. Back to work. I've sanded down all the red for the most part. It still needs a good polish on it. I haven't sanded this down yet, so that's going to be the next step. Okay, this is all sanded down. I'm probably going to need a little bit more polish, but as you can see the rocks are really shining through there. And then I still need to sand this down more and polish it. I got some really super high grit sandpaper, so it's going to be nice and shiny. And I don't know if you can see this, but like right here in the middle of the flame there, I put these little agates, but they don't shine through as yellow, but they shine through as clear, and when you turn it, it gives it a little weird little glare, glint. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this one I still need to sand this down more. But anyway, so that's how the front and back are looking so far. I still got to add these gems, and then I got to make the lid. But we'll save that one for part 3.